Yo, what's up YouTube? It's your boy Damontae bringing you a banger. Don't forget to go follow on my Twitch, please. Here you will never miss out on daily payday content. I want to apologize for the time it took for the video to come out. I'm not to justify anything, but this is just what happened. Firstly, I'm not a fan of Tag Team. Then we got some new guns around this time period as well, like the secondary sniper. Then I had a decent amount of video files ready at the time, but I hadn't just worked on it. Then we got into making this new series of weekly builds on my YouTube, which I'd put together at least 4 builds at that time, and that was during the time period of making Tag Team. Then we get the new DLC map, which I'd spent all that weekend and week playing the new heist. After that, Twitch had got drops added to streams, which I'd been streaming every day, trying to grow my stream. Lastly, I had to reinstall Windows on the 30th of June because of an ongoing issue with something that I had installed, which had infected my PC. I am sincerely sorry for the wait, and I hope the video is good enough for those who waited. Here are some tag team tips. Technically, you could place first aid kit, jokers, and hostage taker into each build, but to me that gets old, and I wanted to do something a little more creative. When I had made my 22 perk deck video, I did not know that tag team could heal from a joker. It was a mistake, and here I'm, going to fix it. As I previously mentioned, I am not a big tag team fan, so it wasn't something that I was informed of. Now this video does include 2 builds from that video that have gotten changed with a joker and hostage taker added. The vape grants 15 HP per kill, while your teammate is going to be getting 7.5 HP per kill. Now if you're able to get, a bunch of kills, you guys can easily stack HP, while the teammate who's getting tagged doesn't get as much. If there's plenty of kills, they'll get a lot of HP. Some of the math behind the tag team build. For each HP buff and how many kills is needed for the full HP regen, and I'll point out each one so no one will be confused. The base HP of 322, if you were to divide that by 15, you get roughly 22, meaning you need to kill 22 enemies to get all 322 HP back. Followed by 391, which is a joker buff. Divide that by 15, and it gives you 26. 446 HP pool, which is crew chief with a joker buff, will take 30 kills if you divide that by 15. 451 HP, which is the AI buff plus the joker buff, will also take 30 kills to get yourself full HP. And lastly, the 506 HP, which is crew chief, an AI buff, and a joker. Divide that by 15 and you get 34 kills. So 34 kills to get max HP. Now let's go over the 2-shot HP, 3-shot HP, and the possible 4-shot HP setups. 322 HP, which is the base HP pool, you will need some form of damage reduction stack ups or a crew chief to get anything outside of 2-shot HP. If using 391 HP from the joker, if you bring a 20% damage reduction from your skills, you can get your 391 HP form to get 3-shot HP. The math behind it is 391 minus 180 equals 211. 211 minus 180 equals 31. The last shot would down you, but that last shot is also 3-shot. The 446 HP pool from the crew chief and the joker buff, if you have the 16% damage reduction from the crew chief, that is already going to give you 3-shot HP in this setup, and here's the math behind it. 446 minus 189 equals 257. 257 minus 189 equals 68. Now the last shot will down you, but the last shot is 3-shot HP. Now keep in mind, if the crew chief is giving you double the amount of damage reduction and you're giving yourself facts and underdog, it can make it look a little bit different like this. 446 minus 144 will equal 302. 302 minus 144 will equal 158. 158 minus 154 will equal 14. The last shot will down you, but that's a 4-shot HP. And that's only under the circumstance of having crew chief damage reduction and having facts and underdog stacked. The 451 HP pool, which is the AI buff and the joker, if you give yourself a 20% damage reduction from the skills, it'll look like this. 451 minus 180 will equal 271. 271 minus 180 will equal a 91, and the last shot will down you, making a 3-shot HP pool. The 506 HP pool, which is a crew chief buff, an AI buff, and a joker buff. This without damage reduction is a 3-shot HP, and here's the math for it. 506 minus 225 equals 281. 281 minus 225 will equal 56, and the last shot will down you, making a 3-shot HP. Now since you have the crew chief buff, and if we're going to include extra damage reduction, you can make this a 4-shot HP build, and here's the math for it. You have 506 HP minus 144 will equal 362. 362 minus another 144 will equal 218. 218 minus another 144 will equal 74, and the last shot will down you, which is a 4-shot HP. AR Crit build. This is mostly used for maps that have some distance between you and the cops. We use an AR that isn't exactly seen as meta, but I want to just point something out real quick. Just because a weapon isn't meta doesn't mean it won't perform to the meta level. In fact, each build I'll be showing here in this video will bring more to the table than the meta setups will. Now since the AR I'm using does match the damage yields of the meta AR weapons, you can still provide full damage at any range, which really is part of the reason why the build is capable of playing this distance shooting style. Now if you get caught up in a close ranged combat, you can always whip out your Wasp SMG. As just previously seen, the fire rate on this gun is insane, so it just mows through the cops and dozers too. The secondary weapon's fire rate comes really handy with the vape heals when you're able to tag a teammate and just be able to go ham with the weapon. You're able to mow through the enemies and easily kill them. Now on the other hand, you have a full crit AR that can provide full damage at range, but that is as well very handy. Now let's get into the skills of the build. We bring Hostage Taker paired with a Joker so that we can give ourselves passive heals and use the Joker to heal off of. We do grab some accuracy stack ups and stability. Moving to Enforcer, we grab Die Hard Ace for 2-shot light unit armor, and we grab Shock and Awe Ace to stagger shields, accompanying that with Bullseye, because armor regen is pretty good in pretty much every build. Following it with Body Expertise and Surefire, and stacking up stability and accuracy to make sure that we can actually provide enough damage in the build. We accompany this build with full crits, high value target, and some accuracy buffs, sprint skills, concealments, and we come to finish it off with Bloodthirst because we use the pickaxe to kill some enemies at close range in a fast time. Moving over to the weapons, we put the Assault Kit on this gun so that we can actually use it more efficiently instead of having a DMR limit our ammo. We go for the biggest suppressor in this build because this gun doesn't necessarily have the most accuracy, so stacking it up is pretty nice. We go for a concealment boost here because it is a crit build, matching it with a railed foregrip that's going to be giving me concealment, while using a compact laser which is not going to give me any sort of effects to keep my concealment once again. The grip that I had grabbed here gave me some stability stack up rather than grabbing one that would give me a concealment minus. This part is optional, but I go for the Seymour sight. Once again, it's optional, you can use whatever you like. We ended off with a stock that's going to be giving us some concealment because once again it's a concealment build, so things like that are necessary when making your gun. This build was featured inside my 22 perk deck video. The main changes from that video to this video is that I dropped fully loaded ace to get myself a Joker and basic hostage taker. While it's a small amount of passive heals, the Akimbo P90s shreds everything. So it's just as simple as hitting your vape and then start getting kills. The passive regen comes in handy when you're like on cooldown of vape, or if you're like attempting to get 2-shot HP again, or if you just took some 1-shot damage to the HP from a light unit. That's where the hostage taker kind of comes in handy. This build will play very similar to the other Akimbo build, which we'll be featuring here in just a moment, but the key difference between the two is that this build uses 117 armor, and here's some of the examples for it. We can get 3-shot armor from light units if we have 20 absorption. Now, I know that kind of sounds a little strange because a lot of players will go for 70 armor, but if you use the 117 in this build, you can get 3-shot light unit armor. Now here's the math behind it. 117 minus 67.5. Now if you include the 20 absorption into that, the last, the number you're getting is 69.5. So if you take another, light unit shot to that 69.5 and then include the 20 absorption again, you get left over with 2 armor. That's right there, another shot that you can take to the armor. Now, for a heavy unit in this build, we can tank 2 shots if we are interacting. The 225 changes to 112.5, and we can tank 2 shots before the armor bust. That can come very handy if you're interacting with drills or trying to heal a teammate or something. The 117 armor with 20 absorption as well can tank 2 shots of the LMG dozer. LMG dozer is dealing 125, and your 117 armor with the 20 absorption points can get 2 shots out of it. Lastly is a sniper, dealing 240 damage. If you have 117 armor and you get hit by it, all that's left over is 123 damage, getting taken to your HP, which will allow you to either A, heal off of, or B, start your vape up. Now, you'll mostly be using this build in like a medium to close range style of map. Yes, you have Akimbos, and your Akimbos can hit some long range shots. It's not really the case, usually. It's just going to be a waste of your ammo. Now, you have the Krinkov SMG, which is basically just an AK, right? That can deal a fair bit of damage, even with the drop off that it is given. Let's go over the skills that I have for the build here. We bring basic hostage taker, as I had previously mentioned, just for the passive heal because it does come in handy when we have a cooldown. We bring ourselves a joker so we can tag them. We go for shock and awe aced, diehard aced, bullseye, and Iron Man basic, also accommodating with fully loaded and double ammo bags. The double ammo bags will provide more healing than first aid kits, so that's the reason. We grab ourselves body expertise with surefire ace so that we can shred through the enemies, and also grabbing some stability stack up. We grab the hipfire accuracy stack up as well. Now jumping into unseen strike and some more accuracy stack ups from suppressors and high value target. And then finishing it off with the Akimbo skill, which is going to be giving me more ammo, so once again more ammo will equal more heals. Now going over the guns that we have. The P90s, I go for the civilian barrel so that we get the accuracy stack up and the stability. While when we go to the suppressors, we put the bigger the better suppressor to get more accuracy from the gun than putting the other barrels onto the gun. Now we match this with an accuracy buff so that my P90s are pretty much laser beams. They can hit things across the map. We follow it with the LED combo for the stability stack. Now this one doesn't change anything, but the custom built frame I have put on here just makes it look a little bit cooler. Once again, changes nothing. Which is followed by the fast mag magazine, because why would you not use this? Next up would be the Krinkov SMG. I put the bigger the better suppressor so that I have a huge accuracy and stability stack up on this gun. Which is followed by the accuracy boost, so that once again I can have a good accuracy stack. Now if you don't use this next one, which is the rail, your sight will be really far in the front of your gun. I personally don't like that, so that's why I use this. This rail was giving me a stability increase, which if you didn't have this, you wouldn't reach 100, I believe. Which the laser that I have attached to it is giving me a stability increase to minus out some of that recoil. That AK plastic grip for accuracy stability. The fast mag, because fast reloading is just pretty much the meta. This part is optional, but the Seymour sight is what I went for. And then lastly, we went for the solid stock AK because of the stability increase it is giving. The next build we have on this list, which is another build that was featured inside my 22 perk deck video, is the sniper one. I have since added a joker and hostage taker instead of fully relying on a teammate for heals with the vape. Now with hostage taker, it allows you to play certain angles that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to, giving you more freedom to play any map with distance without having to really wait for the HP regen. You're mostly going to want to play from range in this build because you're using a sniper, but you can hold pretty much all the long angles for your teammates, the medium range, but if it comes to you hitting your shots, the sniper rifle at close range is very profitable. The grays can just mow through all the enemies and you won't really need to have to pull an SMG. But you can always pull the SMG because at close quarters combat, it will be the best choice. Now there is many choices for secondary SMGs in this build. I just went with the P90. Obviously you can go for something like the Mark 10 or even the Krinkov or even things like the Micro Uzi. There's plenty of examples that you could be using in this. I just went for the P90. Damage yield, ammo capacity, ammo pickup, everything was going good. And you just have to keep in mind, it's not a crit sniper, so therefore it's not locked to certain, weapons here. This build uses 117 armor. Unlike most builds which will be using 70 armor, this build will be able to get 3-shot light unit armor. Here's the math behind it. 67.5 minusing to your 117, if you were to add your 20 absorption points, you get 69.5 left over. If 69.5 gets shot again by a light unit, and if you don't even add the absorption, you're able to, be left over with 2 armor, making a 3-shot armor in that situation. Now, for a heavy unit, we can tank 2 shots while interacting. Changing 225 to 112.5, that makes 2 shots on your armor before the armor break. Now on, another side note, we have 125 damage on the LMG dozer. If we have 20 absorption on the 117 armor, we can make it a 2-shot armor. Now, lastly, if we have the 240 damage being dealt to us on the 117 armor from the sniper, that will leave us with 123 being dealt to our HP. And that right there, if you have hostage taker, you're able to just heal up from it, and if you don't, you can pop your vape and start healing. Let's go over the skills that we have for this build. We do grab ourselves Hostage Taker Aced, which is a change from the 22 Perk Decks video. We also have a Joker, so we can tag that Joker to heal ourselves. We have Graze, which is dealing with most of the group enemies and dealing with most of our healing, which is followed by Iron Man, Shock and Awe, Bullseye, and Die Hard, which this is just for the armor that we had just previously mentioned. We grab ourselves Surefire Ace because of our secondary SMG. It is very, efficient to be able to, pierce the enemy armor and stagger them with Shock and Awe, which is lastly followed by the Unseen Strike, High Value Target, and Accuracy and Stability stack up from Suppressors, which the Sniper Rifle does get some good benefits from this.
Fucking Dozer came out of nowhere too.
Now let's talk about the guns in the build. For the sniper here, we go for the long barrel because it is much easier to hit things with an accuracy increase. We do not put the suppressor on here because then you will not be able to kill a heavy unit in a single shot. We add the accuracy buff, which is paired with the stability increase from the LED combo. This one here is very optional. I go for the Seymour sight. Now you guys can still use scopes, whatever the case is, but me personally, I just go for the Seymour. The last stock and body part isn't exactly necessary, but players may like the way that it looks, so you can use it. My secondary SMG, I have the civilian barrel, which is similar to the last build for the accuracy and stability increase, which is then followed by the bigger the better suppressor, which is giving me more accuracy and stability than the barrel suppress things. We grab ourselves an accuracy buff here so our P90 can actually be pretty accurate. Now we're pairing that with the stability increase with the laser LED thing. This part is completely optional, same with the sight, but the custom built frame does nothing, it just looks cool. And then the same thing with the Seymour sight, it's just preference, you can choose practically whatever you want. And then lastly, to follow everything, you're just going to be putting the Fast Mag magazine because why not? Akimbo full crits, the fan favorite build. The reason this is because this setup is so easy to regen HP and have infinite HP regen. The Mark 10's damage yield paired with body expertise, full crits, and berserker results in this build's damage output to be more or less what players are really looking for. While this build is mostly used for closer ranged maps, it isn't too bad on some of the medium sized maps. What's mostly going to be an issue is distance shooting, because yeah, you have Akimbos. The Mark 10s do have some good accuracy, but you're just going to run yourself low on ammo. When playing this build, you will realize how strong you are. If you can position yourself properly to constantly get life regen, this build can self-heal. It doesn't really rely on teammates' kills, but it just needs you to tag one or a Joker, and then you can just go to town with all the damage output. Something that not every build inside Tag Team is fully capable of doing. We bring ourselves ammo bags in this build because double ammo bags will offer us way more healing than what 14 first aid kits will do. This is similar in many builds, not just the Tag Team. Now let's go over the skills for the build. We grab ourselves a Joker so we can tag it to heal. We also grab Hostage Taker Basic because we are able to get most of our heals from the vape, and the basic Hostage Taker is coming necessary when we are on cooldown. We follow with Shock and Awe, Bullseye, Die Hard Aced for the 2-shot light unit armor, and as I previously mentioned, 2 ammo bags because that offers us more healing than first aids, which is then followed up by body expertise and Surefire, which is really nice when we're using the Mac 10s because because we're able to just shred through the enemies and not fully hit headshots every time. We do a lot of hip firing in this build, so that comes in handy. Now we do grab ourselves full crits, high value target, accuracy buffs, stability buff, and then this is all followed by the secret sauce, which is Berserker inside this build. When we are at low HP, we're going to get a huge damage yield, and then that's going to allow us to be able to heal, extremely fast with the vape. Now here's the guns. The Mark 10, I put the bigger the better suppressor on there for the accuracy and stability increase, which I have it followed by the accuracy buff. We are not locking it to any sort of fire, but we do put the railed foregrip on the front for that stability. We also grab the laser that's giving us a stack up of stability. This one is completely optional, but we have the custom built frame. It just looks cool, so that's all we're using it for. Then we follow it up with the fast mag so that we can stay in the fight with these weapons. And then lastly, we put on the skeletal stock for that stability increase. The 5.7 I have here, I put the tin treated barrel on the front. The accuracy stability increase is pretty useful, which is paired with the champion suppressor, which isn't really sacrificing too much concealment. At the same time, it's not sacrificing too much accuracy, which is followed by an accuracy buff and the micro laser, so I don't have any statistical minus or pluses. We do go for the extended mag since it doesn't affect really anything statistical. And then lastly, I went for the sight that doesn't minus concealment, but it does minus some stability, so it's optional on that. The 2-shot armor LMG build. As an alternative, you can use the buzzsaw or the KSP. I have been including the KSP many times in other videos, so I just wanted to use something different, and here on Tag Team, the M60 kinda just fit well. While the buzzsaw fits the damage output because of the fire rate, its biggest downside is its mag size and its reloading time, while the KSP is a solid all-around pick. I chose the M60 because it's dealing 125 damage, it's holding 215 bullets, and it's very comfortable with the damage yield you have. Now the M60 can get fairly accurate, and pairing that with body expertise and crits, you can get the silly one-shot body shot kill. And if we have that much killing ability, we can use our vape consistently and always be on top of our HP. When playing inside this build, you want to be considering that, hey, I'm inside ICTB, so I kinda need to be safe. Now, as I had just mentioned, this build does get 2-shot armor in a few ways. One of the ways is the Perk Deck's 20 absorption, allowing you to get 2-shot armor. The other ways would be including things like Underdog or something like first aid kits to get 2-shot armor. And in this build, we're using Underdog for 10% for 2-shot armor. And that's really situational. Now, the 20 absorption is situational as well, but the Underdog comes in handy if you don't have absorption stacked. We do bring the Uzi after its buff. It has a pretty high damage yield and it allows you to hit your distance shooting with that weapon. Since it's, 96 accuracy and 100 stability, it's a pretty good weapon to be doing so. Now let's go over the skills inside the 2-shot armor LMG build. I am bringing Hostage Taker Aced and double Jokers so that I can actually have a lot more things to be working with in the build. If I have 2 Jokers running around, I have an easier chance of keeping heals, which is followed by Iron Man Aced and Shock and Awe Aced to stagger the shields. We grab Bullseye so we can get some armor regen, and then we have Underdog Aced to get 2-shot armor consistently. And then we follow it up with Body Expertise, Lock and Load, and Surefire to give us, a good mix of damage here. Which we do also go for Unseen Strike, and then we give ourselves high value target for dozers. And we were grabbing stability and accuracy stack ups in every skill tree, so therefore the LMG is pretty good at the end. Now let's show the guns. We do not go for the short barrel because that will minus accuracy, and what we're wanting is having accuracy. We follow it with the bigger the better suppressor for the accuracy stability stack up. Since it's an LMG, we put a bipod on. It's always handy to have a bipod for range shooting. We give the gun a accuracy boost, so therefore we can hit some range shots. We go for the modernized foregrip for the accuracy stability. Now there is some other choices here, you just kinda have to choose what you feel is better. Then I follow it up with the LED combo for the stability increase so that my LMG isn't as crazy with recoil. Now the second gun. We put the bigger the better suppressor onside the Uzi here because of the accuracy stability increase. This gun had recently been buffed, so it is a really good gun to be using. We give it an accuracy buff and the foregrip for the stability increase. And then we grab the LED combo for that stability increase so we don't have as much recoil. This one is purely optional, but the Seymour sight, but you can use any sight that you like. And then we follow it off with the ergonomic stock, which is giving us an accuracy and stability increase, which is matching everything we need.
Those cops got tripped. Yeah, they do, don't they?
The 2-shot armor shotgun build. This build started out with the stakeout shotgun. It had a drum mag which gave it more ammo, and the magazine kept you, inside the fight. But when this was, in using and in testing, I constantly kept running out of ammo. So I went for the ISMA. The ISMA does take a slight, advantage over fire rate, between the two guns. But when I'm using the ISMA, I'm able to keep up on ammo pool, just consistently. Now, with the Judge that we have that has fire rounds, alternatively you could be bringing something that has more of an ammo pool style shotgun. Things like the Grim, the Street Sweeper, these are some nicer picks if you want to keep yourself with ammo. Now we have to keep in mind, our secondary shotgun's pure purpose is just to be stunning the cops and refilling our primary, so therefore it doesn't matter if it's high damage or it doesn't matter if it's low damage. Its pure purpose is just to refill our primary. So with that being said, you could also swap over to the Claire double barrel. It's identical to the Judge, it just has something slightly different. This build mostly will play best in close ranged combat. Now you can still hit your medium range shots with the Fire Judge and even long range shots with the Fire Judge. You'll be mostly dealing with shields with the Fire Judge as well. Going up against dozers with your shotgun can result in you losing a lot of ammo, so just be cautious with what fights you're picking. But you can pick any of the fights because you have first aid kits to storm into battle, and then place down and just play from that position. Here are the skills for the build. We're using first aid kits and 2 minutes of damage reduction from those first aid kits to give us consistent 2-shot armor. We also have a Joker to tag for HP regen, which is then followed by the shotgun skills, which are pretty basic how I have them set up, and then I have ICTB so that I have 2-shot armor, and I do include Underdog Aced for 2-shot armor in another consistent way. Pairing together Underdog Aced, First Aid Kits Aced, and 20 absorption from the Perk Deck, I have 3 methods of getting 2-shot armor. I put Surefire Ace so that my buckshot rounds become armor-piercing buckshot, which is followed by optical illusions, high value target, and crits, because unseen strike crits on a shotgun are pretty good. Clearly we're not using suppressors though. Now here are the weapons for the build. The ISMA I grabbed the buckshot for the 15 plus damage increase, then we pair it with the short barrel to minus out accuracy to give our shotgun more of a spread. Then we use the horizontal leveler to make our spread be flat so we can hit heads. Inside the boost, I go for a minus accuracy boost so I can spread my shotgun more. And then we lock the gun to fully auto so the gun can have less accuracy but then give itself a damage boost. This part isn't necessary, but we go for the rail and then we go for a sight. The rail gives us some stability and then the sight's going to give us some stability. That is just useful for having no recoil on the shotgun. We go for the handrail that's giving us a stability increase. The laser LED combo for the stability increase as well, which we follow that with the wood grip so that our gun can have even more stability, so that the Isma in the end has 100 stability. We go for the Big Brother mag, and some people may think that this is kind of not needed, but I kind of like to have those extra couple shots. And then we put on the holographic sight. This is purely, optional. You could put on any sight that you like. And then lastly, we go for the contractor stock. We didn't want to go for the stock that gives us a accuracy increase like the wide stock, so we had to go for something that was just stability. The judge here has very light modifications. I have the fire breath rounds, and that's legitimately all that I have on the gun. Now, only because I have the legendary skin here. If I didn't, I would have added something like a laser, possibly a sight. It's just really it's personal preference in this situation. It's not a crit build, so it doesn't need to be low concealment. My personal favorite build. This is a throwback to the Crook build Pocket Sniper. In the past, we didn't have a secondary sniper, so we used the broomstick, which was a one-shot headshot killing to the cops, and it was very effective. Now that we have a new DLC that brings a secondary sniper to the table, I had to use it in Tag Team. To match the throwback in Crook, I included dodge in this build. It has 13% standing still. If you're wanting to get 2 dodges back to back, it would be a 1 over 169 chance of actually happening, meaning if you got shot at 169 times, you are capable of dodging 2 bullets in a row, at least 1 out of 169 times of happening. Now that doesn't mean that it's going to be get shot at 169 times and then you're guaranteed 2 dodges. No. What this means is that 169 bullets that are fired at you, at some point during those 169, you're guaranteed 2 dodges in a row. Now it seems very unlikely, but in a 15-minute game you can easily get shot at more than 169 times, so this is something that you have to keep in mind, but not be relying on, because dodge isn't something that you should be relying on anyways. The chance for you to dodge 4 bullets in a row on a 13% is a 1 over 28,561 chance of happening. Now that is something that's more unlikely to happen. This build is pairing Akimbo SMGs, the micro Uzi for the close range fighting, and being able to just wreck the cops with the fire rate. Now, these Akimbos are easy to give yourself HP regen, but where all the HP regen really comes from is the sniper rifle and grays. The Akimbos come very handy with dealing with dozers and like regenning ammo for the sniper rifle. The sniper, on the other hand, in this build is insane healing ability with the grays that is paired with it. Overall, this is my favorite build to use because out of all of them, this one has the most freedom for you to play. If you're just not playing careless, this build is for you. If you do start to play a little careless, well, you have first aid kits to support that dodge playstyle. You have first aid kits to support that rush into battle playstyle. You have, Akimbo SMGs that rip through everything. You have a Gray's secondary sniper with full crits. There's pretty much no enemies that walk to you and survive. Let's go over the skills for the build. I bring first aid kits to match that aggressive kind of dodge playstyle. I bring myself a Joker so that I can tag him for life regen. And then we bring Grays into the build because Grays is where most of our life regen is coming from, and our crowd control is coming from. We grab Shock and Awe and Bullseye for the passive armor regen and the aggressive armor regen. We go for the hip fire, accuracy increase, and lock and load so that we can sprint and shoot the sniper. We grab Sneaky Bastard Basic with optical illusions and inner pockets. We grab things like full crits, high value target, suppressor, stability, accuracy increases. And then lastly, we top it off with the Akimbo skill, so that our primary weapons aren't that useless. They actually have quite a bit of ammo for them, so that you can regen your sniper. Now let's look at the guns in the build. Since this is a concealment setup, we do not go for the custom barrel since it minuses concealment. We previously was using the medium suppressor, but the Medieval non-DLC is actually better, so we had swapped it in this video. It is then followed by a concealment buff because it is a concealment build, and the micro Uzis are very concealable, so it allows me to do some customizable stuff to the sniper here in a moment. And lastly, it's topped off with the micro lasers so we don't have any statistical changes. The sniper, we do put the suppressor on there so we can get a concealment buff from the skills. We then follow it with the bolt so that the gun can shoot faster, because this actually makes the gun that much better. Which is then followed by a concealment boost because it is needed for the concealment build. We went ahead and skipped over the custom set here because it's minusing our concealment, but we do go ahead and give ourselves a small laser so we don't have any statistical changes. Same goes for the magazine here. We didn't actually click this because it minuses our concealment. This part is optional, but I went for the Seymour sight. You could pretty much choose any scope or sight that you want. And I went for the stock that's giving me a concealment boost. Now you can obviously change this weapon up and mix it up a little bit, and maybe even swap your micro Uzi up a little bit to maybe give yourself more of an option on this, rifle. That's up to you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit the subscribe button. Please like the video and comment. I usually always answer every comment that I get. And if you guys haven't, go check out my Twitch. I'm live there pretty much every single day.